Now I found it.
Well, good morning, ladies. This is kind of our first homeschool roundtable, and one of the things that we have found is in our, we'll call it a movement, right? One of the things that we have found is that most of us are homeschooling, or we're choosing to homeschool. I am homeschooling my two granddaughters, and then I know we have Crystal today on. We have Nikki here, and Caitlin, and Tish, and Danielle. And this is our first call. And so today it's going to be more of a roundtable about talking about what are some of our problems. And we are expecting and putting together our big homeschool summit for the end of July. And this is going to be also helping us pull some information for that as well. So if you're listening on the replay, please either email us or in the comments on the replay, please put your questions and pretend like you're with us and use that comment like a chat box so that we actually get to hear from you and get to answer your questions, and we can include it each week if you can't make it live with us. But so this morning, I just wanted to I introduced everyone already. And I would like to, I think I'm going to, Crystal, are you good to chat with a minute? Crystal's not on camera, but she maybe have left the building. Danielle, I'll start with you then. Danielle, would you just talk about, how long have you been homeschooling?
Hello.
Hi.
I have been homeschooling for, this will be my 7th year homeschooling. I've homeschooled since my oldest, who is going into 6th grade, was in kindergarten.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have 2. They're going into 5th and 6th grade. And it's been a journey. When I was young, I loved school. I loved the schoolroom setting. I loved learning. I loved every subject. And school was where I thrived. I'm a nerd and lived it out to the fullest. And my children are not at all. So it's been
right now. I've decided I'm adding right now to every sentence now. So they're not right now. Who knows?
Yeah. Right now. Yeah. Well, and when they're young, it's, I remember being that young, and, one year I wanted to be this when I grew up, and I wanted to be that when I grew up. So there's so many options, and there's still, like, the world is such like a wide open exploration box for them. So there's so many different things that they find and get interested in. But one thing that I am learning is that even in my life, for me lately, I've been struck. Hold on, my dogs are growling at each other. Sorry. One thing that I've found for me is learning that it's okay to be really good at one thing and not so great at other things. That's what community is for. And I wish I would have realized that when I was younger. So this year, our focus for school is more on figuring out what my children really enjoy, what they really like, and letting them explore that to the fullest, and doing our best to find how we can learn about different subjects within their topic of interest. So that way it's more about learning through what they're interested in. Both my girls have ADHD too. So letting them really kind of veg out on what they enjoy, but also making it educational.
That's really, really good. What have you found was your biggest challenge? Let's say starting out. Is anyone just starting out homeschooling? I don't know, Caitlin or Nikki, are either of you just starting out? I'll open my chat. So you can either put it in chat or, yeah, Nikki's, are you just starting, or how long have you been homeschooling?
Sorry, my kids are around probably like everybody. This is actually, so my oldest is going to be in 5th grade, and we started in kindergarten. So I guess this is technically going to be our 6th year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, I'm going to come back to you, Danielle. What was your I know Caitlin, I think, is new. Caitlin just has 2 little, so she's kind of just entering into this with she just has like 2 and 2-year-old and 1, like 3 and 1, right, Caitlin? 3 and 1.
We'll be 3 in December and 14 months. So I'm just scratching the surface with him.
Right. So she's just getting big. So you guys get to pour out you get to save her from a lot of headache. And that's one of the reasons why we want to do this, is saving headaches. So Danielle, what would you say was the biggest issue you had starting out? What would you say?
Really knowing where to begin and trying to figure out what type of teacher I am and what type of learner my child is. My youngest has pretty severe dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, and finding resources for her to learn, I felt like I was failing as a mom. My brother has dyslexia, but in a much different way. So I really felt like my youngest was being very defiant, like she wasn't trying to learn, like she wasn't taking learning seriously. Because she, I could teach her the sight word the, and she would know it and she could say it. And then we would go and read like a 3-word sentence and she could not recognize it. And I was like, what is going on? Like, this didn't happen with Michaela. Like, what is going on with her? And I felt like a failure and I didn't really reach out to anybody because I was embarrassed. But yeah, once we realized that it was dyslexia, I kind of hyper focused on all the things that I could figure out in order to help her. And she's grown tremendously since then.
That is awesome. That is awesome. How did you find out she had to learn that she had a different ability? Like, how did you learn that?
We were doing school and I called my mom in tears and I'm like, can you please come and pick her up? I am so frustrated. Can you just take her out and get her out of the house? Let me calm down. She can get away. Because we were both crying. We were both extremely upset. I was feeling horrible. She was feeling like she wasn't making mom happy. So I told my
We lost you. Yeah, muted real quick.
like dyslexia. And I was like, oh, really? And she was like, yeah, your brother was a little bit different, but yeah, that sounds a lot like that. So I researched a lot. She has nearly every single sign that you could possibly think of. And we ended up getting her evaluated for that. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Because I know that that's one of the things is understanding there are things that happen. And one of the things I want to encourage each one of these calls is come with questions, come with maybe you come up with a great idea you want to share, but also having this be the goal that you realize it's okay some days to not be okay. It's okay to be frustrated. And in a little bit, I want to have Crystal share because Crystal has the most experience at the table here. But is knowing that there's going to be days you're going to be frustrated. And like Danielle said, she stepped back and said, Mom, come get her before you kill your child, but you're not a bad mother because you get frustrated and then don't deal. I'm sure there was some guilt after that. We deal with guilt like, oh, I should have known and I'm a horrible mom. No, you're not. You're just normal, right? Danielle, did you have a little bit afterwards like, oh, I should have got that and shouldn't have been so hard on her?
For sure. I felt really bad because, like I said, I loved school and I just assumed that my kids like learning would come naturally to them. So, not only are they learning, I'm having to shift my entire perspective of learning in order to be able to teach them best so that they're actually learning and not being forced to learn in a way that I learn. Because when you have a negative outlook on education, and you have a negative, what's the word I'm thinking of? When you're teaching down to children, they're not going to learn anything anyways. No matter, you can present it in the best way, but if they aren't engaged in it, they're not going to take anything away from it.
Absolutely. My granddaughter this morning, she spells her name every day. We do sheets. I send sheets to my daughter. We're doing it by Zoom right now till they get here in 2 weeks. We did it in person and it's a little bit different situation because my daughter's actually putting them in private school starting this year. So I'm actually prepping them for school, which is a whole different mindset than just homeschooling to continue homeschooling. My prayer is that she changes her mind because after the shootings and stuff, she started to make comments about how she's really not comfortable and how would she ever live with herself if something happened after putting her kids in. So I'm just like hoping that we continue, that she'll let us continue on, but we'll see. So she is, so like this morning, the frustration was writes her name every morning. It's Eliza Marie Moss, and she writes it across all her papers, and she's so proud of herself because she can do this in kindergarten. And so we're going through and filling in the missing alphabet. And she gets to L and she's like, I don't know what L looks like, Yaya. And I said, okay, well, your name has an L in it. Can we look at your name? What, can you find the L in your name? And she was like, I didn't put the L in my name today because I didn't remember it. And I was like, you didn't remember L? Like, we're about ready to go to first grade. Like, we need L. We can't not know L. And I was just like, oh, okay. Don't show that you want to strangle her. Cause she was also like not paying attention. And we're trying to do, she was, cause we're on video. So it's not like we can get up and go wiggle. So I said, okay, let's get the wiggles out. Let's do some wiggle dance. And I have things set up on YouTube because I'm trying to do this by Zoom. So some of you anyways, so I put up on Zoom, I have a YouTube of it's like, do the wiggle dance. And then we do the wiggle dance together. So I'm getting my exercise and we're doing the wiggle dance. And then she sits down and I'm like, did you have breakfast? And she hadn't eaten breakfast yet. I was like, "Rrr." So she was kind of running on empty and she was just wiggly. And Danielle, I was like, you don't know L? Are you kidding me? We can't go backwards. We don't have time. That's me. Like, I got a goal to meet. And she, just realizing to just let it go, wiggle it out, write it out. She knows the letter. It's just a bad day and come back another time. So anyways, that's good. Thanks for sharing that. I'm making notes as we're going along. So we have some stuff to bring in also for our homeschool conference. And I love what you said, Danielle, when you said, what type of teacher are you, figuring that out? And then what type of student are they? That's really interesting. And I want to encourage all of you, because some of you are like, oh, well, you might be, it's a little more in my day, Crystal, in our day, right? It was frowned upon, homeschooling. It was like, you're not a teacher. And I have lots of friends who are teachers and they're like, you didn't, I went to school to be a teacher. You're not a teacher. And I'm like, well, I kind of am. And so, here's what we're doing. And you guys don't really, I don't know. Have any of you gone through that at all? Because I know Crystal and I did. Okay. Yeah. Tisha's saying yes, because she has older kids too. So, I know Crystal and I are in our 50s. So we're like, our kids were growing up our kids were growing up in the 90s. And so that's when we were doing that. And it was still pretty much frowned upon. Tish, how old?
I'm in my 50s, girl.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Yay, we're all in the club. So what happens is that time, it's come a long way. So yay for you guys for that. So Nikki, do you want to share a little bit about where you're at in homeschooling right now and like what your biggest challenge has been so far?
Yeah, it's funny. This is actually my first call. I've been trying to get on to so many calls and the timing just hasn't really worked out because of homeschooling mostly,
Right.
to step away and whatnot. So I'm excited to be here and kind of looking for community and everything. But yes, definitely relate to the unqualified, especially from some close family members. They just could not wrap their heads around, they couldn't wrap their heads around how I could teach my kids when I hadn't been educated to become an educator. So that was something that was tricky for me at first, mainly because it came from my in-law side. So, you kind of have those insecurities
Yeah.
already anyway. And I had a really great resource close that was a teacher, and she quit teaching to homeschool her kids. And she just continually encouraged me that as a mom, no one's going to be as attentive to your children as you. And so even though you may not get it all right, or you may not, get the foundation perfect or whatever, just the purpose of loving your children and continually seeking to find what works best for them, it will all work out. And the biggest thing for me, I would say, when I started with my oldest was I had an idea in my mind of what I wanted it to look like. And I really wanted to have a schedule, and I really wanted to, be by kind of the minute and the this and the that. And I really had to learn to be flexible with her because she's a creative. And so she really enjoyed the little activity things, and she wanted to spend the time doing those, and those just weren't always fitting into my time schedule. And so I would find myself a little bit frustrated. And one of the biggest mistakes that I learned from, gotta get my keys, sorry, get my keys, and then you're gonna have to unlock it. Or you wait, come on, me help you. One of the biggest things I learned halfway through the first year homeschooling was my frustration with whether it was time or she wasn't understanding a concept. I realized that I was taking it personally, but I was putting it on her, and that wasn't fair. And so, as an example, it was specifically with math. So we were doing math before lunch. She was kindergarten, and we were both just kind of done for the day. I was ready to get on with the next part of the day, and I think she could sense that. And so anyway, we just were really battling, but we weren't battling with anything else. And so one day she just started crying, and I said, "Why are you crying? You're so good at all these things." And she said, "I'm not good at math." And I said, "Well, why do you think you're not good at math?" And she said, "Because I get in trouble a lot." And I said, "Oh, what do you mean?" And she said, "Well, I feel like I get in trouble, so I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it right, and I'm not doing it good, so I'm not good at it." And it was just kind of like knife to the heart. Okay, mommy, this is not how she should feel. And so I realized I really had to change my mindset when I was working with her. And if she's feeling frustrated and I'm feeling frustrated, we're not getting anywhere. And it's okay to stop. I just was so diligent on trying to stay on this schedule and get it all done. And you learn within homeschool that you can get a lot more done in a year's time than you realize. And so I just kind of started relaxing a little bit. I started changing the order because I just had this printout and I was trying to follow my order, and it wasn't working for us. So we switched things, and now we do math first, and it's great. And we haven't had any other problems because it requires more focus and just trying to meet them where they are. My second is very different. And that was a huge challenge when I started homeschooling her, because it was like I had just gotten in, my girls are 3 years apart. So I had just gotten in my groove, was feeling like, okay, I've got this down. And then it was like a whole new thing. She's a different type of learner. She wants to do the least amount of work as fast as possible. She doesn't like the coloring activities and the extra writing and things. And so it's just been a process, and I've had to really give myself, I guess grace is a word, in just moving with them wherever they're at, and not feeling like I have to stick to a certain program. It's challenging because I don't want to be buying all these different curriculums because it's expensive, but also if that's what's best for them, figuring out ways to make it work. Or maybe someone is more of a visual learner. My oldest kind of likes to write everything down. My second doesn't like to write anything down. So it's been a constant change. And I feel like it wasn't until my fourth year that I finally let go and just felt like, okay, this is okay. It's not going to be perfect. In the school system, they're with 20 some other kids. We're going to figure this out. If something's a little bit behind, we can adjust it. We can use the summer to work on it. And so it's gotten better, and it's harder in some regards, but I really enjoy it. And I'm thankful that we started before all the chaos of COVID, because we just didn't have to ride through those challenging things. But I read this great thing, and then I'll be done. I read this great quote a while ago, and this mom was just writing, and she was saying, as a homeschool mom, she remembers looking down the street, watching the school bus every day at 8:15 pick up all the kids. And she said she would stand there with her coffee and just be jealous that she wasn't sending her kids off to school, but she was in this constant battle with herself. And just because as a homeschool parent, you have to be 100%. You don't get to go shopping or working out. Your kids are always with you. So it's a sacrifice. And she just made a really great point. And she said the grass is never greener. And she gave some examples of, moms that have to work and they can't stay with their kids and they have to release all control of what they're being taught. And that was a really great shift of mindset for me of, it may be hard, I may be frustrated, but I am in control and my kids are learning from me. They're not learning from a stranger who I don't know what their beliefs are. And that was the biggest thing for us. Like, we just feel with our faith that it's most important that we be in control of what our kids' intake is. So
That is really good.
sorry, that was long.
No, it wasn't long, and that's what today's about. And I should have prefaced in the beginning, and I'll remember to try to do that every time. If not, someone remind me, is that in the beginning to let everyone know this is going to be the call that is going to be a hot mess. Okay, this is going to be the call that we're going to all. I did it intentionally. I have lipstick on. The rest of me just got out of bed, or woke up, hair got put in a bobby pin. We all are going to, so no one feels like, oh my gosh, I have to be camera perfect. So anyone watching this, if you think about it, they're not going to be camera perfect. So please feel free that if you don't have to come on camera, but also know your house. We all know what's going to happen. I'm in an office with I've staged, this is my office. So this is what it looks like, but I know that this is a hot mess call. So most of us probably haven't, maybe someone hasn't even brushed their teeth yet. They barely, got out of bed. We had to jump in with kids, jump in taking care of school, jump in taking care of other stuff. So I just want you all to feel encouraged that your background, or you don't have to be picture perfect for this call. And so just knowing that if your kids, this is going to be the call, kids will be interrupting. This is going to be the call. You may have to pause and do something. And so someone else jump in where your friend just left off while she takes care of her kids. And I want us to really think about us sitting around a table and being able to share ideas and talk about, this is what I'm struggling with. This is what I need help with. And tell me, this is what I need you to bring in a special speaker on, or a teacher for us, so that has a specialty in this area. Same with you on the creative issue, Nikki. I want to ask first, Nikki, you have your daughter's in 5th grade, and then what grade your son in?
So I have 3. So I have my oldest is going to be in 5th grade. My second is going to be in 2nd grade. And then we have a little boy who's 3.5. And I actually do send my kids to preschool. I have found that it really kind of helps the process of just having a understanding for authority and respect for adults. And so even still, I can kind of refer back to, hey, would you treat Miss so-and-so like this? Remember when we sat down? And it kind of gives them perspective, because kids are kind of egocentric and they only think about what's in the present moment. So yes, and my girls actually do I'm in Colorado, and we have a few co-op options here. And I highly recommend people looking into those, because that has really, really helped my homeschool journey. Our girls go 1 day a week from like 8:30 to 3. And it's just really neat because they kind of get all the electives in. And then also they have community with other homeschool kids.
That's awesome. One of the reasons we put the Sister Finder together is, in part of that is that our goal is to build out a Torah based homeschooling curriculum, and to build out co-ops, so that you all have co-ops in your area that are actually around people that that are Torah based. And if there's not necessarily that, you can all end up, you come to the co-op and we may have a video. If there's not one of you who can teach it, then we have a video available for you to teach that, whatever that subject is that none of you want to do. We all be like, oh, I don't want to do this chemistry thing. Or we can spell it out easy for you to break it down so it's fun to teach. But I wanted to share with you, Nikki, is that same thing happened to me the other day with my granddaughter. She's super creative. And so, so I was like, instead of her math where she was struggling with me, I'm like, wait, go get 15 Barbies. Because trust me, I know she has 15 Barbies. So she ran and got 15 Barbies. I'm like, okay, so if we have 15 Barbies, okay, give me 10 Barbies. And so she holds them all up, I'm like, okay, so if you have 10 Barbies and we had to take, and sister and Maya came and took 3 Barbies away from you, how many Barbies would you have left? So now all of a sudden she was happy and excited about math because we were doing Barbies, and she was not mad she was talking about how her sister can't take her toys. So, I had to get away from my way, like Danielle was saying, my way of teaching, and or my way of learning, and learn that we have to do it differently. So, but thank you, Nikki, for sharing that. Hopefully, again, today is a lot about us getting to know each other. Gladys, welcome. Do you mind unmuting and telling us kind of about your journey so far?
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Also my first time.
Hey.
Well, I've been in and out of calls because busyness because I homeschool and I have 3 children. They're wonderful children and they're ages 4, 6, and 8th grade. She just graduated in middle school. So that's overwhelming now. I'm gonna have a high schooler. Um, I've been homeschooling since 19, no, not 19, 2015. So yeah, in the beginning, a lot of people were so skeptic. Of course, the grandparents are our friends. They're asking about, oh, are they going to be sociable, or are you confident enough, because I don't have teaching background. But Abba has given me that desire to homeschool, and that nudge really that I just couldn't, especially with the scripture in Deuteronomy 6. And also it has been a great blessing. That's actually because of homeschooling. That's where we started to walk in Torah. In the beginning of our walk, we used to go to a Christian church, and then my husband was led to go to this Messianic Christian church. I don't know if it's really called Messianic Christian, it's messed up. But from there, we have opened our eyes to the Sabbath and the Moedim. But then again, they still do Sunday service. So it's kind of mixed, but I get that probably that is their calling, to be in for Jews and Gentiles, so that they would be in the middle to know what the gospel is, and going back to the roots of Christianity. But from that also, I remember one of the preachings, it's just that going around that scripture, and that gave us like, can't really go to sleep. And husband and I talk, we've decided that we will do homeschool. I'm like, okay, I don't know about that. But if he says it, I said we would need a lot of grace and his anointing and strength and a lot of prayer. So here we are after how many years? 15 and 22, almost 7 years. And like I said, yeah, it has been a true blessing. Our family has gotten to closer together, and then I see that they're pursuing their interests. We enjoy the quiet time going to Walmart when everyone else is in their school, and we have all the facilities just for us. That's a major, but a lot of like, well, as a mom and having in challenge of a lot of things. So it's overwhelming. It's like every time I get to that place, it's like, oh, it's like I want to give up already. And plus we, especially with, you get to compare your family to your other families. And then I always assure our children that we are following a narrow path and it's a different path. Our family has a special calling. We know his name, this name, and that not that Greek name, and yeah, it's been like a lot of assurance and really soaking them in the word, keeping them grounded. And yeah, having a community also is a major, because we go to co-ops, but mostly our we don't have anyone like who really we are as Torah observants. Most of the communities that we have, they have music co-ops. Like last Christmas, it was actually a big thing for me if if I were going to have the children to be involved because they're singing Christmas. And then what happened was, well, we all got sick, so we didn't get to participate. It is a blessing in disguise. I see it that way because in my heart, I really don't want to participate. So yeah, so we are in co-ops who are Christians, but I also learned the hard way to just go along until they will come up with like-minded families like we are. We've been patiently praying for that, for physical interaction as well. I know there are a lot of major Messianic congregations, synagogues around us, but I don't know, it's just the timing still.
Where are you located, Gladys?
We are in New Jersey.
New Jersey, okay.
Yeah, we have a lot in New York, Brooklyn area.
Where at in New Jersey specifically?
Yeah, North Jersey. We are in Belleville area. Yeah, do you know
Belleville?
anyone?
Belleville, is that what you said?
Yeah,
Perfect.
Belleville area.
Caitlin,
And
where are you at in New Jersey? Maybe Caitlin's off. Oh, there.
I'm
you
actually upstate New York.
Oh, New York, upstate New York. Okay, yeah, okay.
oh, but it's close enough. Yeah, other Torah observants here are either like really Jewish, of course, but not Messianic.
Right.
And yeah.
We can check with
So-
Rebecca too. Rebecca Cruz is been teaching with me every Friday on the portion. We can check with her. You can message her on Band and ask her how close the two of you are, and she might be able to point you in a direction. And that they have a little congregation. They're in New Jersey. I don't know where in New Jersey. I'm not really familiar with New Jersey, but check with Rebecca Cruz and again, you can message her in Band. You can private message her and to be like, "Hi, I'm also in New Jersey. Where are you?" And then our sister finder on there as well. But thank you, Gladys. I'm excited that you're on here. Crystal, can you share with us like how long you've been doing? I know your kids have all up and graduated and you have kids in college now. And how long you've been doing this? What was your struggle kind of at first?
Oh gosh, okay. So much. So I have 5 children. My oldest is 34. My youngest is 18. My oldest one had a learning disability that was a visual processing disorder that she had to go through a little bit of therapy with. But that's another story. And I started reluctantly, very reluctantly, back in 1998, 97, 98 timeframe. And what it was they were holding my oldest daughter back again for another year in school. And she's supposed to be going into 3rd grade and she's going back into 1st grade. And everybody told me, you just need to homeschool her. You just need to homeschool her. And I was like, no. So I went to every private school everywhere and they all told me you need to homeschool her. And so my husband said, we're going to do what they say. And we bought the curriculum and it came in and I'm like, I don't know why you're buying this curriculum. I'm not going to use it. Yeah. So I ended up homeschooling all my children all the way through high school. My last 3 graduated from high school with associate's degrees. My 20-year-old is now working on her master's degree. My 18-year-old joined the military at 17. He graduated from high school at 16 with a bachelor's degree, and he's now a Black Hawk mechanic in Korea. So there's hope. There's hope. That's just a real quick synopsis, but before we get started, can I just throw some things out there right quick?
Yes, that's what roundtable, throw it out, grab your coffee. Here we go.
First of all, let's define what we're talking about here, homeschooling. Okay. Let's just take and put all of those preconceived notions down for a minute. Every single person on the face of this planet is a homeschooler. If you teach your children manners, you're schooling your children. Now, defined in this setting means academically, but if your children come home from a public school and you sit around the table and work on them with their homework, then a portion of your day is homeschooling your children. Okay. I don't want us to put people in a box during this table, because there are some single moms out there who have no choice but to use the tool of public schooling that is at their resource to assist them. There's one sister on here who said, I use preschooling. We're not going to judge each other for the tools that they use. We are all called and commissioned to raise up a godly generation. And we look at the tools that we have in front of us and the tools that God gives us, and we use them to the best of our ability. There are some that have the ability to walk in perfection, God's perfection for our children, meaning they can stay at home full time and school their children. There are others that have to walk in God's provision, meaning that they're by themselves. So they're going to have to use public school and still train them up in the evenings. So our job here is to love on each other no matter where we're at, and not super define, put things in a box about what homeschooling is. We have to first of all define that. That's the first thing that we're going to do. We're going to define it as loving on each other as we raise up a godly generation. The second thing I want to encourage everybody to do is come up with a mission statement for your family. For me, I sat and I struggled with tears and tears and tears and tears. Lord, I don't know what I'm doing. This child of mine, I don't want to homeschool. The first year I homeschooled, I spent more time laying over my bed, weeping in tears, because I was forced to do this horrible task of educating my child that I felt like you had to go to college to do. You don't. If God has called you to do it, he will equip you to do it. Right, Charlie? Yes. So, come up with a mission statement. I'm going to give you mine that was given to me. You will have to find your own, because my mission statement won't work for you. Okay. But what I sat down and asked the Lord to do is tell me what am I doing? Just what am I doing? And he said, you are here. I'm calling you to raise up a godly generation capable of sharing the love of God in everything that they do, in everything that they say, and in everything that they write. That's it. That's all we're called to do. Okay, so you mean I don't have to teach them how to, fly a jet, or I don't have to make sure that they get a doctorate degree, or I don't have to make sure that they pass some standardized test at the end of the year? I don't have to do that. I just have to raise up a godly generation capable of sharing the love of God in everything that they do, in everything that they say, in everything that they write. Okay, share the love of God. So I had that mission statement, and then I had to figure out how to walk it out. And here's an acronym for you. KISS your kids. Kiss your kids. Keep it super simple. Keep it super simple. Kiss your kids. Kiss your kids. Keep it devoted. Just keep it devoted to God. If you want to teach your kids to read to them. If you want to teach your kids to write, have them write out Bible verses. If you want to teach your kids to add, help them add. That's it. You don't have to spend $1,000 finding the world's greatest curriculum, or put things in a box from Alpha Omega. I'm sorry, I threw a name out there. I didn't mean to do that. But you don't need to put things in a box out there and think that you have to follow someone else's guidelines, because God's guidelines are Deuteronomy chapter 6. Raise up your children in the way they should go, and when they were old, they will not turn from it. Train up your children in the way of the Lord. That's all he asks you to do. Okay, so I want you guys to put down all expectations. I want you to put down all boxes. I want you to put down all definitions. And just like when you came into walking into the Torah, right? You had to unlearn a whole bunch of things that you learned. And you had to realize that, hey, this isn't what I thought it was. This is a lot more into, a relationship with the Lord and obeying him. This is not about religion or whatever. When we walk in the Torah, we have to unlearn preconceived notions, and we have to unlearn the boxes that we put God in at one time, and we have to come back into, okay, this is how we need to do it. So our walk in homeschooling is not about our kids, and you want to know the honest truth, it's about us. It's about teaching us patience with our children. It's about teaching us not to think inside of a box. It's about teaching us how to have grace when they don't know their L's that day.
Right.
Right? It's
Yeah.
about being cyclical. Okay. Now, just like the Torah is cyclical, every year we repeat it over and over and over and over again until we get it somewhere in our 90s, hopefully, and we get to go do it perfectly in the big sky up above or whatever. Education is the same thing. If they don't get their L today, it's cyclical. It'll come back tomorrow. If they don't know their multiplications this year, don't worry about it. They're going to have to repeat it next year. Just keep on keeping on, and don't freak out. Your kid's not going to be, damaged for life because they don't get it on the day that the lesson plan said you were supposed to get it.
I think Crystal, one of the things that you said, I apologize for interrupting, but I just want to stop at that because you had said, just teach them, you got to teach them to read because they can learn everything else if they know how to read.
That's right. That's right. It's like that old adage, you can give a man a fish and he eats for a day, but if you give him a fishing pole, he'll eat for the rest of his life. Right? We're not here to give our kids the answers. We're here to give the kids the questions and tell them where to find the answers. We don't need to know the answers. It's okay if your kid says, Mom, is a whale a mammal or a reptile? And if you don't know the answer, it's okay.
Because I don't know. Let's go find out. What do you think it is? Where can we look this up? Yeah.
Exactly. You don't have to know the answers. I just really want you guys to just put these burdens down, because when we come into this homeschooling talk that Charlie's going to take us through, I just want everybody to have freedom. I want them to be light, and you are not ruining your children. Okay. You're not ruining them. I promise you, you do not have to measure up to the definition that society has created. And I get so frustrated at, is your kid socialized? You're homeschooling them. Where's their socialization? Well, I'm going to tell you something. My children can sit down to a table and they can hold a conversation with my mother, turn right around and hold a conversation with a 2-year-old, and then come right back and have a conversation with their peers and do it without missing a beat. If that's not being socialized, then we're missing the definition. Okay.
Right. I have to say a big hallelujah on that one, because same with my daughter. There was years when I was traveling as a minister and we were traveling all over and people were like, she's not going to get socialized. I'm like, what? She's multi-generationally socialized. So she doesn't look down when she's with someone who's older than her because doesn't know how to hold a conversation. And you watch homeschool children, they will look you in the eye and they will engage with you. So exactly. My daughter could engage with anyone. And to this date, she's not just like awkward with people in different generations than herself. So be encouraged, ladies, in that. I mean, I feel like it's a little different now for many of you, because hopefully you don't hear that as much, but I don't know, maybe you do.
We heard it a lot back in the 90s.
Tons.
Yeah, we heard it a lot. And our objective is to take these little humans and make them big humans that can function in a society. Okay. You treat your little humans just like as if they're a big human. If they're not going to do this as an adult, then they probably don't need to do this as a child. You don't say, oh, well, they're 2 and we don't say no. Okay, I just stepped on a toe. I'm so sorry. But,
I doubt it. I doubt it here.
But, we are called to make them functioning adults.
Right. And God tells us no. Yeah. And he tells us not now. And he tells us to wait. So we get to help be his hands and feet extended and arms. And I know this is frustrating, honey. We have to wait.
That's right. And our whole objective is to raise little raise adults that can function in society. What does that mean? That's God's choice. That's God's, what is it? What part of society are they going to function in? That God already knows. He's already got it all figured out. We don't have to know where they're going to function in society. We have to teach them how to function in society. That you say please, you say thank you, I'm going to tell you a little story. I was doing a job one day. It was me and my son-in-law, and there was a man and his wife that pulled up next to us, right? And here I am, old school. I'm thinking, we were doing this job and I was going to have to lift this very, very heavy item. And I was really struggling with it. And I'm thinking, old school, this gentleman's going to come over and help me, right? He doesn't. He turns around and runs away. And I was floored because I was like, well, am I so old school that chivalry is whatever it is? I don't know. But our point is that when we raise up a son, that if he sees a woman over there lifting an item that's too heavy, we need to go teach him how to, you help them, to show the love of God in everything that they do, in everything that they say, and in everything that they write, right? That's what we do.
That's great. Does anyone else have a mission statement for your families? Have you written mission statements out? I highly encourage that. I mean, I think we can take that away. Danielle, do you guys have a mission statement?
I did. I wrote it before I started homeschooling kindergarten with my oldest, and it was so funny. One of the questions was like, what is the one thing, like, what is the main goal that you have for your children? And this was before I came to Torah. And I said, I just want my kids to love God and know the truth. And I pulled that out like a few months ago, and I read that and I was like, oh my goodness, like how much the Father has moved in our lives as a family. It's just amazing.
That is amazing. And we're supposed to write the vision down, right? Without lack of vision, people will perish, right? And I think that's true in our families. I think it's encouraging that you have sit down and have it. What a great activity to do for your Shabbat. You sit down and say, okay, we're writing our family mission statement. We're a family that loves when it's hard to love. We're like, what's important to our family? And then you can put it into words, right? We're a family who, and then fill in the blank. And then that, what is your thoughts on the main things like education? What's important things? Like, how do we learn? We're a family who honors each other's learning process and growing process and whatever. You go through and sit down with each other and say, what's important to our family? And of course, ahead of time, as women, we need to kind of help spearhead this and write some things down. So maybe if you have a spouse that you talked with them and say, okay, what are some important things? And then guide your family through that and write it up. And if you need help, let me know. Put it on Canva and then send it to Canva. Has a great printing thing. You can type it out in a cute font and maybe put a little picture, put a picture of your family on it, send it to Canva. They will print it. And then I know what's really cool is Target has those things, or I think it's Target or even Amazon, you can buy it. It looks the top and the bottom. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It looks like a little frame, the top and the bottom with a little string, and you can hang it or have it framed. Doesn't have to cost a lot of money, and it's hung up, and it's your family's mission statement. And I think that's amazing thing to have. Crystal, did you guys write it out and frame it, or did you just?
I did. I didn't frame it like on Canva because I did the homeschool thing and laminated it. Because don't we laminate everything?
Girl, loving me, my laminator, my label maker. Just don't take it away. That's all.
I know, right? If somebody says I'm going to homeschool, I go out and I buy them a real pretty laminator because I'm like, you're going to need it for everything.
For everything. And once you laminate one thing, right, ladies, you're going to laminate everything because you're so excited because this is the most awesome thing. I was at Walmart and I was like looking like which box of laminating paper. I'm like, of course I'm going to want the one with like 500 sheets. Duh. How else are we going to make flashcards? Just saying.
Or try to save money because you buy that workbook and you think that it's going to work for all of your children. So you laminate every single page and let them do it in a China pencil, right?
Yeah. Well, now you're really telling your age because now they have the sleeves you buy and they even have them at the dollar store and you put the paper in the sleeve and you use a white erase marker. So back in our day, they didn't have that. So yeah. Well, ladies, this is Lori Dawn hopped in and joined in with us. I know Caitlin, I will just a quick talk. Just what are some of your, Caitlin, we have a little bit of time left. I'd just like to hear from you, Caitlin. What are some of your brand new coming in with a 3-year-old? And it's a great time to start getting them used to things. What are some of the the questions that you might have just starting out. It doesn't mean we're going to answer them all today, but I'm going to write them down so that we can come back. And I think that we'll stick to this once a month through the summer. And then maybe we'll do it maybe every other Wednesday starting out the next school year. So Caitlin, what are some of the questions you might have going into homeschooling since you're the newbie here?
I guess like what I know some people end up doing a make your own curriculum, but maybe I guess a bare bones curriculum that I could draw from for the first year, and then if I needed to, then branch from there. But a lot of what I'm doing right now is just play-based learning with my son and that sort of thing with him. Anything that is really beneficial with play-based learning and just hands-on, I'm all ears for that. And we just started a little garden outside, so I'm trying to like just he learns in a way where he observes and then he gets very tactile and very hands-on into things. So anything that includes that for him is probably one of the better ways that he'll be engaged. So anything like that would be great, I think. And I'm just trying not to expect out of him to like sit him somewhere and expect him to like tolerate doing a sitting activity for more than 3 minutes because he's a boy. And yeah, I guess my biggest approach is just like to start that way and then just go from there and see what interest he draws from past that point.
That's good. Yeah, I think you're smart. At this point where you're at, play, play, and play. If Gail Heaton were on here, she's taken 7 children through homeschooling, and up into college, they're all highly functioning adults, and all of them contributing to society. They're doing great jobs. But her thing, she'll tell you like almost a 3rd grade, just play and get them learning and just play. Get them to be loving school. Nikki is, I think that's a great tool that you're using preschool as that fact that they get to go in and they're learning to play, but they're learning learning a little bit about authority, because sometimes that can be, bring a friend in who might do that. But yes, Miss Danielle.
I just had a question. I'm actually sitting here going through like our homeschooling supplies and getting ready for next year. And I have a lot of stuff that my girls have grown out of, but I would love to like gift them to a mom who would want them. Is there a way that we could set something up that's like, I have these, and if you have children that would be in need of these, like if you pay for shipping, you can have it. Like I don't want to like throw things away. Like I hate doing that, and I would love to bless somebody with it if they could use different.
That's great. I was going to ask Crystal to start a chat in Band, a chat group, and I wrote everyone's names down, but we could screenshot it real quick with your phone, Crystal, and that we have all the names of who's here. And then as people come in or who want to, they can join that chat group on there, and then you could do it in there, and you could take a picture or whatever you have, and if they pay for shipping, and let ladies in there talk to you. Is that good?
Yeah.
Are you good with that, Crystal? Thank you. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. Well, ladies, that went fast, huh? Because again, this is just this every week. Each time we get together, we'll probably pick a topic and go over it. Of course, we have such experts, as you heard. I'm just facilitating. So I know Crystal was like, oh, I'm leading. No, I'm not. I have zero. My experience is minimal. Just facilitating all of you to be able to talk to each other, because you need each other to know that you're not alone. Oh, look, Summer's going to come in now with 1 minute to go. See how that is? You need each other, and you need to be able to reach out to each other, and even on Band, private messaging each other. If you get to know each other, like Nikki, now you know that Danielle has daughters who are similar in age as yours are. So, Danielle has kids in 5th and 6th grade, and you have kids in the same time in the area. Get to with each other and work things out together. Like, what are you doing? How are things going with you? And same with you, Gladys. Same, kids are all in the same kind of age group. And I'm really wanting to encourage you to build community with one another. And that's the goal for this call, was really just we'll bring up something and then all of us, let's research it and find some information for each other. But more importantly, that you guys get to know each other and you're not alone. You're not crazy. And this is going to be, again, the hot mess call. So you can show up in curlers. You can show up and no one smells your breath because you haven't brushed your teeth yet, because you've just jumped up and started running. And I want to encourage you, Crystal made a comment about your choices and someone else said it too. I think Nikki was saying this as well, as listen, you have made this choice and it is such a gift and a blessing. Imagine, and maybe you have walked this through, because I have in a season where I did have to jump up and I had to take my daughter to school. And it was like, you have to get up and you have to be at work by 8. And so you're zooming around the house trying to, about beat your kid, trying to get it ready. Everyone in the car, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. And that's how your mornings start every morning, because it's, Crystal, for those of you who don't know, used to be a drill sergeant in real life. And so I can imagine, but in our house, same thing. It was like, we got to go, 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 go. And the fights, trying to get hair done, trying to make sure your kids don't look homeless, getting them out the door and getting them into school, making sure they have lunches, homeworks in the back. Thank the Father that you don't have to do that every morning. If you wake up and there's nothing, you can't think of one thing to thank him that you're not having to do that, and pray for your sisters who are, that they don't have a choice right now. And that's what they're having to do because of life, because they're having to, like Crystal was saying, right now, they're dealing with provision, and that's where they're at right now. And so pray for your sisters who actually do that. And Father, thank you for each one of these women. Father, I ask that you cover them with a special blessing. I thank you, Father, for their children. I thank you that you are instilling in them the important things to share with their children and showing them the things to let go of that are not important. And I thank you for Crystal for bringing that out today. Just keep it simple. Keep your children in tune with who they are to be in him, who they belong to, helping them with their identity in him, and teaching them to read so they can learn everything else. We thank you, Father, for each one of them. I ask that you bless them today, bless them with a special joy, that they giggle when things get crazy and they just learn to shake it off and do the silly dance. Bless them today. Amen. Amen.